What's up, everybody? This is Robert Ferguson, Roberto Lorenzo Ferguson, and I want to say welcome. I am your nutritionist. I'm a guy who cares because I care. And today we're going to talk about these weight loss drugs in this event that Miss Oprah Winfrey has coming up next week. They're going to have a round table basically and talk about these drugs, the pros, the cons, and you'll see. I have a few words I want to share about that. And then we're going to talk about counting calories. In a previous video I did earlier on this exact same day, I talked about calories because it is one of those things that is so outdated. The dogma is so gone. No one should be counting calories. So we're going to have a conversation about that. Then we're going to look at some hidden roadblocks when it comes to weight loss. And we're going to talk about the scale and give you some tips on what you can do to make sure you are making the most of the scale. I mean, it is a tool. So it's a tool that we will go to. And then we're going to invite you over to Telegram where we will continue the conversation. Now, joining me without further delay is the one and only. They call her Hammer Girl. I call her Lisa Marie. What's up, Lisa?
What's up, Robert? How are you?
So, you need to come out with some merchandise and like, girl. And for those who are catching us live, I just want to say thank you for being here. Big shout out to Karen. What's up, Karen? We got Karen Little in the house. Okay, that was a lot that I threw out there. That was a lot. So we're going to do all this inside of 30 minutes. How's that sound?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, now before we dive in, there's a video that I want to share. Interesting video. I want to see if it brings back some memories. Okay, you ready to watch it?
Yeah.
Okay, check this out.
What's this stuff? Some cereal. It's supposed to be good for you. Did you try it? I'm not gonna try it. You try it. I'm not gonna try it. Let's get Mikey. Yeah. He won't eat it. He hates everything. He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
When you bring life home, don't tell the kids it's one of those nutritional cereals you've been trying to get them to eat.
I remember that commercial. Mikey likes it.
See, I used to get in arguments and debates. Well, not arguments, but I would debate with people because I thought when the little boys like came on, they gave it to him because he would eat anything. But as we just watched in the commercial, they gave it to him because he doesn't eat just anything. Right? Like he doesn't like anything.
Right. He doesn't like anything, but he likes that. He likes Life cereal.
He likes that. Man, commercials back then were just so cute. They were just so cute. I mean, I miss those days. Those are some fun moments, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, anyway, I posted that because I was sitting back thinking about that commercial, and I saw a metaphor where that's kind of how we are as human beings, right? It's let's push it over to someone else and see if they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone else does it, then we'll do it. Because in that commercial, think about it. Why didn't they taste it?
Well, because they wanted to see if Mikey liked it first, and then they were willing participants.
Yeah, but they could have just take a bite. It's not like you're going to take a bite.
Well,
and
die. Kids don't like to take a bite. Like they like. I mean, come on, kids don't like to do that. They like to.
All right, well, it's one of those things, boy. Let me tell you, that's a cute one. Yeah. Okay, you guys. So what I would like to start off with is let's go over some real basics when it comes to the scale. Now, some of this will be redundant, meaning you're already aware of it. And maybe there's something that you don't know. But when you step on the scale, my recommendation is step on the scale around the same time, under the same conditions when you're going to weigh yourself. So if you wake up in the morning, it's what I like to remind clients to do this. Wake up in the morning before you eat or drink anything. Maybe you can go, do number one or whatever you got to do in the restroom, but don't consume anything. And then step on the scale. And if you can do it naked, I think that's ideal. But if you can't do it naked, then at least wear the same outfit each and every time. Okay, that's my recommendation. What's your thoughts? Anything you want to add to that, Lisa?
No, I agree with that.
Okay. Another thing to keep in mind is whatever scale you step on, that is the scale that you continue to stay on. Right? Don't go to your friend's house and think, oh, let me check my weight, because it may not give you the number that you would like.
Right.
And there's nothing worse than being at an event or a party, you step on the scale and the numbers are completely off and not in the positive. And now you got to have the evening with everybody and everybody's looking at you wondering, hey, are you okay? And all you can think about was like, I can't believe I've gained that much weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show a little video. And this video is one that I'll make available to coaches if they want it. And I share it with my clients every once in a while because it shows a woman in a house with multiple scales. And every scale she gets on, she weighs something completely different. Okay, so I'm just going to play it and we can look at it. So as you can see here, you can see her weight, right? So then we post it to the left. So the first scale, she's 123.8. Now she just jumps on to another scale. Everything's the same. I mean, that's a significant difference. That's
Wow,
70.
that is.
Then she gets on another scale.
We're liking
So
that
again,
scale.
and and sometimes people will have their scale in different rooms, and that can completely change also. So stepping on the scale, I mean, this is your tool. This is your baby. You don't want people moving it either. Like step on the scale one day in the kitchen, then the next day you're in the bathroom. And each and every one of these scales is giving a completely different read.
Wow.
That's
I've heard that, like, to keep the scale in the same spot. So like mine is in the bathroom. So like I always weigh myself in the bathroom. Like, so it's like the same floor, it's the same part of the house. It's not on a different level. But that's pretty wild. I never saw that video.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good one. It's one you can keep it on your phone if you're like with the client, or it's one that you could, text it to them. You say, hey, watch this video before we have our coach call, and then they can see it.
Yeah.
And then
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, then you can have a whole conversation about many other things as it pertains to the scale.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have a client that I used my scale, I brought it over to her house and I used my scale, and then, so I've just given her my scale for 8 weeks because I know that, if she uses her scale, we're probably going to have a different reading.
Right. Or, what I've done with some clients, they'll get a new scale that, one that will do body fat percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have their old scale that doesn't do body fat. And one of the scales they will weigh smaller. And what they'll do is they'll continue, like they'll give me their body fat, but if the other scale has a lower weight, then they'll step on that scale because they want the lower weight.
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay. All right. Well, so the scale, so you guys think about it. I'm telling you, I have had clients wake up, they have water, on their nightstand, they drink some water, and then they have a little bit of coffee and they go, oh, let me go do my weight. Well, if you have a cup of coffee, that's 8 ounces. If you had just a little bit of water, it's going to be around 8 ounces. Well, 8 ounces plus 8 ounces is 16 ounces, which is 1 pound. So we don't think about like what we're wearing or the fact that I drank a little bit of water, that may actually cause you to be heavier on the scale, but it will. So, and if someone comes in here late, you're catching us tail end of this part, I would rewatch this video because it does help to do everything the same way every time you check. And I recommend, personally, I think it's ideal to weigh yourself once a week and just be real focused. And the night before your weigh-in, don't make that a night where you get off track and you overindulge. I can't tell you how many people, Lisa, I'll talk to them, and in conversation they go, yeah, well, my friend had a birthday party yesterday, and we ended up staying out late, and then we ate this and ate that. I said, the day before a weigh-in? Because they're not thinking about it. Like I want to like look at your weigh-in as like the day. That is your championship weigh-in. And so I am going to like eat right. The closer I get to my weigh-in morning, I'm tightening everything. I'm going to bed early the night before, you know, I'm going to be very high. You know what I mean? I'm going to go the extra mile.
Yeah. Because that's that accountability. I mean, that's how I am too. But that's like that accountability. It's like, oh, we got to go over this tomorrow. I'm going to do everything right tonight.
Yes. Okay. So now I did a video earlier where I talked a lot about the negatives around people believing that weight loss is solely about calories in versus calories out. And when I first talk about this publicly, and I don't know if you've had this experience, Lisa, but most people you will ever meet in your life at this moment in time really believe that weight loss ultimately is about calories in, calories out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many physicians, there's so many people like us who know that the calorie thing is one of the worst things ever introduced to the world when it comes to weight, because weight loss is not about calories in, calories out. If it was, everyone could just lose weight and we could predict how much weight you're going to lose every 3 days. But that's not the case. So I have a video I want to play. And if we may go through the whole video, we may not, because then we're going to move on to a weight loss drug and talk about Oprah. But let's watch this video. There's a bunch of very respected physicians, leaders out there, influencers, who are all in agreement with what we're saying. Take a look.
In calories out? Well, come on. That's an ancient term that most of us have been following blindly and still are. In fact,
this is the biggest lie in the history of medicine.
There's never been any long-term study showing that calorie counting is an effective way to lose weight and maintain weight loss.
That the calorie counts make no sense.
Never count calories. It's silly.
Is that the human body actually has no way of measuring calories.
It's complete nonsense.
It was wrong from the day it was conceived, and it will be wrong till the day we finally trash it.
We've been doing it wrong all along. The food industry, for the sake of their protection, has brainwashed us so much that we don't even bother to know the truth. With the world advancing so fast in science, technology, health, and so on, it's time that we also advance our knowledge and get smart enough to actually understand the reality to change our lives for the better. According to multiple world-class health experts and scientists, a calorie eaten is not a calorie absorbed.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there for a second. If I were to ask everyone who's listening to us live, that is there a difference between eating 100 calories of broccoli and then eating 100 calories of jelly beans? Because if it's only about calories, would it matter? And that's when people start to think. And if you look at the hormonal response, right? So if I eat broccoli, that's going to stimulate a little bit of insulin. If I eat the jelly beans, it's going to stimulate a lot of insulin. And insulin circulating is what blocks us from being able to drop body fat. So a calorie is not a calorie. It's the hormonal response to the things that we consume that is going to pay the biggest dividend to putting you in a situation where you can lose the weight. And then one more thing, and then you can add to this, Lisa, is my big challenge is getting people to realize that the quality of whatever you're eating, the further away from nature, more insulin. The closer to nature, less insulin. And the fact that everyone is in a different place, right? So if you have a high level, like we have 7 levels of insulin resistance that we're able to identify with a client, right? So when we do the carb threshold score, then we identify. So if you have some level of insulin resistance, depending on your score, will dictate where you fall. So if you have extreme insulin resistance, you're not going to be able to eat a whole bunch of fast carbs, starchy foods like potatoes and rice and quinoa and couscous, pasta, bread, and expect to be able to release some body fat. It's not going to happen. So at that moment in your life, you are going to do better to eat foods that have a lesser insulin response. So if most of your meals are protein and slow carbs, eventually your score goes up. You're not as insulin resistant, and then you will be able to eat some of those fast carbs without the concerns of gaining weight. There you go. If anybody has any questions, please shoot. What's your thoughts, Lisa?
No, well, obviously I agree with you. And it's interesting because I always think about calories when we had the when you did the conference or trainings back, I guess back in November or something. It was one of the doctors that was in that video, the one with that metabolic book. I believe it was him that he was talking about too, how our calories are not just for us, right? So I think there was like a percentage of those calories that are actually for our microbiome, if I remember correctly.
Right. So say that again.
So that doctor, Ledig, I think his name is.
Yes.
He was talking about in the presentation that you did back in November, like the training. He was talking about how all of those calories, they're not even like just for us, like, right? Like, so we think calories, energy, but a portion of them are really go to our microbiome, and it's really for the microbiome. Do you remember do you remember that conversation?
Yep. And that's true. It's like, so when it's kind of like the same as fiber. Mm-hmm. Fiber is not usable energy, right? So it's either going to dissolve in the water in our body, or it's going to be excreted and it leaves. It wasn't something that's part of our metabolism. It's not metabolized.
Right.
And so you're right, the quality, but I'll play a little bit of this video because they actually speak to what you just said. Okay, check it out, you guys.
The number of calories we eat is not equal to the number of calories we absorb into our body. Now, to explain this, let's use almond as an example. Let's say you eat 160 calories of almonds. There are 2 kinds of fiber in almonds, soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. These fibers block the absorption of simple sugars such as glucose, fructose, and sucrose in the small intestine, so they don't reach the liver, causing it to overwork, therefore protecting the liver and keeping it healthy, because if the liver did receive those simple sugars, it would convert the excess into fat, and the insulin generated in response would undesirably start to store those excess fats into your body, so you only absorb 130 calories from this process. But what about the remaining 30 calories? They travel further down to the big intestine, where the bacteria live, and the remaining 30 calories become their food source. So from the 160 calories of almonds that you ate, 19% of it were for your microbiome living in your large intestine. Therefore, the number of calories we eat is not equal to the number of calories we absorb. And this not only applies to almonds, but it also applies to all kinds of foods. Depending on the type of food, we can absorb less or even higher number of calories despite what the food label actually shows. Let's use another example. Now, if you eat a 100-calorie sweet corn and go do your business in the loo, the next day, you'll know that you've absorbed nowhere near a 100-calorie of sweet corn. But if you take the same 100-calorie sweet corn and turn it into flour tortilla and eat it, then you'll get a lot more calories out of the exact same amount of corn.
You will extract different amounts of calories from the food, even though we're working with exactly the same food.
Calories do not come with instructions as to what to do in our body. It's the hormone that make the changes in our body. The hormone are provoked by different types of calories coming from different kinds of foods. When we eat carbs, the hormone insulin goes up. When we eat protein, the hormone mTOR goes up. So when insulin goes up, our body stores the energy mainly as fats. And when mTOR goes up, our body builds and repairs our muscle tissues, at the same time giving us the feeling of satiation. Different foods, even if they have the exact same number of calories, give out completely different instructions to our body because of the different hormonal responses triggered. In simple words, if you eat a 500-calorie chocolate bar, the hormone insulin will spike, causing you to store more fat. But if you eat 500 calories of fatty meat, the hormone mTOR will increase, instructing your body to build and repair muscles instead, making you feel full. So, the quality of the food is what matters, not the calories. You want to activate the right hormones to bring good changes in your body rather than the bad hormones which can adversely affect your health, leading to the development of certain illnesses. So how can we judge the quality of food? Ideally, according to the world's leading geneticist Dr. Giles Yeo, you should focus on eating foods that are high in protein and fiber and low in sugar, such as vegetables, whole grains, fish and eggs. It will not just aid you in weight loss, but make you healthier, keep you in a good mood, and prevent or reverse the effects of certain illnesses such as diabetes, obesity, and high cholesterol.
So what do you think of that video, Lisa?
That's a good video. Can you share that with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that video.
I will post it and make it available for all the coaches.
Yeah, and I didn't know that that's what they were going to talk about next. I didn't even know what we were talking about tonight. So, yeah, that's a good video. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And everything that we talked about, the microbiome, the hormonal response, is all part in there. And again, the more processed something is, you can just assume that's where you're going to get the bigger insulin response.
Yeah.
And then I would just say, guys, like if they do this test where they'll take fat cells and put them in a petri dish, and they can feed the fat cell a lot of energy, calories, and the fat cell will get bigger. And then they can starve the fat cell and it will get smaller. But if there's any insulin in that petri dish, even if you starve the fat cell, it will not get smaller. When insulin's circulating, the fat cells do not open up and let the fat out so it can be oxidized or metabolized. Insulin is almost like there's guards. When insulin is floating around and present, it's blocking those fat cells. So there you go. Okay, so now one last thing, and then we're going to go to Telegram. Oprah Winfrey, next week, I believe it's on Monday, she is going to some special episode where they're going to, I don't know, round table. I've seen a couple ads. I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm going to take notes. And my gut tells me that it's all about her promoting these weight loss drugs, which, you know, if you didn't know this, you guys, she just stepped down from Weight Watchers. She was on the board. She also had shares. She got rid of them. So now there's no conflict of interest. And if you go back 4 or 5 months ago when we saw she was losing weight, they asked her, was she using the drugs? And she was very clear that she wasn't. But fast forward, she came out the closet basically and says, yeah, I kind of am using it. So she lied, and now she wants us just to believe her again. So interesting. And so my gut says that there's probably been an investment into these drugs. She's got some type of deal. You know, she's got $2 billion, but hey, why not? Let's get more money. Mm-hmm. And we'll see. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
No. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, right? That she stepped down, and my thoughts are I don't know. I don't really have thoughts on Oprah, to be honest with you. I think she gets behind these pharmaceutical companies, and I think that that's all that is. I think that she's doing a disservice to people, with these people that do follow her. She could really be educating them more than she's doing. I don't know.
She could be, but we don't know. So you guys who are listening in, what do you think? I mean, are you guys still fans of Oprah? Because I remember at one point I couldn't go anywhere without people going, "Have you ever met Oprah?" Oh, Oprah, if the one person I would like to meet, if I could meet one person I want to sit down and have a talk, it would be Oprah.
Well, she got back. She's all in with the pharmaceutical companies because just before COVID, I don't even know if I could say that on here, right? She got in with them and she was promoting the flu vaccine because I remember she had come to New York and, into her event, it was like a whole big thing here, like, because she was promoting the flu vaccine, um, and then obviously, the other vaccines that came out. So she definitely has those ties with pharma.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because I think we should use this as an opportunity to wake people up.
Absolutely.
And then, it's going back to Mikey. Give it to Mikey. He won't eat it. He doesn't like anything. He likes it. He likes it. So let's eat it too. Let's just do what everybody else is doing. Let's just follow the leader. And that is the world that we live in. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me because people will just go, well, I saw my cousin, they're using it and it worked for them, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and so you get someone like an Oprah and a lot of these celebrities, and this is going to probably shock some of you, okay? And I would love to hear everyone's thoughts. You can tell me if I sound crazy or not. But I believe the people who are more likely to use these weight loss drugs, and I would bet money on this, they have low self-esteem. And the way I'm describing self-esteem is how much you love yourself. Like I saw this housewife who has 3 daughters, and I can't remember where she was, but I saw a clip yesterday. And they're talking about how she's lost this, 30 pounds and she feels great. And, they're talking like, what does that say to your daughters? Like, how are they, does mommy just start taking drugs? Is it all about what you look like? Is that? And she basically was like, yeah. Even though I don't want them to follow me and do what I'm doing to be thinner, I got to do it. That was so the mom is living a life of hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
And is mind-blowing to me because she's screaming for self-love. And she now has put all of her self-esteem, if you will, into what she looks like. That's why if you go to the gym, right, and you meet a guy and he's in really, really good shape, not all guys, but a lot of them, you will notice narcissistic tendencies. Like a narcissist is thinking about themselves all the time. And they're thinking about themselves to where they don't see anyone else because they're only thinking about what's ideal for them. And they don't really care if they hurt someone's feelings. Mm-hmm. They're looking out for themselves. And so they're going to work out. They're going to go the extra mile to eat a certain way. And they don't care. Like I'm telling you, when my kids were little and I was a new dad, I used to say, okay, I want to be there when they wake up. So I would get up like let's say I usually get up at 5:30 and go work out. Then my daughter would wake up at 5:15. So then I go, oh, you know what? I'm just going to get up at 4 and knock it out. And you know how little kids are. You mm-hmm. wake up at 4, get a little coffee.
Yeah, they're up.
Guess who walks in the kitchen? And that whole time you're like, I'm going to get my workout. And then I still wouldn't get my workouts.
Yeah.
And then I try to like move it to where I would work out because I'm thinking about my babies. I'm also thinking about me, but I'm thinking about them. I want to be there. Like, so it's a win-win. But when you're a narcissist, you don't give two shits.
Mm-hmm.
You just grab the baby and toss her in the bed with the mom while she's sleeping, wake her up the mom and say, hey, I'm going to work out. Yeah, she woke up because you don't care anyway.
Yeah.
So Oprah has low self-esteem. And a lot of people are like, what? She's got billions. Okay. What does that mean? There's people who have everything that as far as material things, and they don't love themselves. So that's why they have all those things, because that's where their self-esteem is wrapped up into things.
They love of money. That's what Lynn wrote too. For the love of money.
It's like imagine that though. Imagine having $2 billion, not $1 million, not 2 million. That's a lot of money too. Everyone listening to us right here, if you looked at your bank account and you had $2 million, I guarantee you will sleep better tonight. But that's more security, right? Yeah. So self-esteem, man, self-esteem. So I'm going to point that out. That's going to be the thing that you're going to see that I'm predicting when they do this event, is that the people who have just fallen in love with this drug and who are pushing this drug, they just have low self-esteem.
Yeah, I think like I've been watching. I keep kind of watch. I see like in groups, everybody's like, where can I get? Where can I order? Ozempic, or who can I get it from? And like they're paying like $1,000 for that. And then, when you watch some of like these influencers, or, not even like influencers, but, people on YouTube or TikTok that have these channels and some people following them. I don't know. I just keep saying, is it really worth it? Like, I mean, and they're sharing how they're not hungry, they're not eating, they're throwing up, they're running to the bathroom, they can't even go to work because they have to like run to the bathroom. Like, is it really worth it? I don't know.
No. Well, it's not worth it when you find yourself in a hospital or you find yourself not waking up. So I had a very dear friend of mine, when I missed the one of our calls, I talked to her pretty regularly, same as we're talking right here. She had recently dropped about a little over 30 pounds. She was looking good, feeling good. And I know she did, she ended up, getting the jab a while back, right? And I talked to her all the time. She was about to become a coach. She was going to coach. We already had it planned. And I just found out today that when she wasn't feeling well on that Wednesday, she, I guess, told her son or someone that I'm going to go to bed early tonight. And went to bed, and she had a stroke. Had a stroke, and I guess by the time they got her, I don't know, to the hospital or wherever they took her, she was pronounced dead.
Oh, so sad. My prayers to you and her family.
Oh, it's mind blowing. Like, I'm sitting here just in disbelief because I keep having these experiences, right? Because 2 years ago, my very, very dear friend from college, him and I had a great call on Tuesday. His wife calls me Thursday morning. Simon died last night. He had blood clots. So she had blood clots. He had blood clots.
Sad.
And yeah, they had that same thing in common.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, anyway, I'm ready to go to Telegram. You ready to go to Telegram?
Let's go.
Okay, you guys. So remember, come over to Telegram. Lisa's going to explain it. Then I'll play a video, and then we'll jump over there and we can talk a little bit more open.
All right, so you're just going to join us on the Diet Free Life channel over on Telegram, which Robert has linked below. If you're not already signed up on Telegram, just click that link and you'll be able to sign up and get yourself an account. And then you'll be on that channel, and over there what's different than here is we can read your comments, but over there if you have a question you can actually raise your mic and we can have an actual two-way conversation, a voice chat, so to speak. So come join us and we can answer your questions, have conversations, talk about things we cannot discuss over here on these platforms, and we'll see you there.
All right. I'll see you over there, you guys. Thank you.